Today, I want to talk to you about how to actively deal with triggers. Okay, how to actively deal with triggers. I'm going to dive right in and then just explain along the way. All right, because the most important topic that is a big topic currently in the online space in terms of showing up online, becoming visible, staying authentic, and especially continuing to show up, right? Because one thing that is going to be for certain is that you're going to receive some kind of criticism. It's going to happen. Right? The question is not if it's going to happen, but when it's going to happen. And if you have a mission and you have a vision and you have a topic that you love to speak about, a passion topic, something that you love, something that you know, your expertise, your business, and this is your new path, then you need to know how to deal with triggers. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate something, but I also want to use the flip chart. Okay, so the first thing is let's create something here. Okay, so this is you, all right, and this is, let's say, other people, all like the internet community, haters, all kinds of people. I don't even want to say haters. I mean, sure, it's true, but critics, let's just call it critics. And that's you. Okay? So this is you. Let's do this. Let's do this. This is you. Okay? So this is you. For example, me, I am currently 36. Okay? I'm 36 years young, and this is me, and this is my body. Let's say this is my body, and this is also my body of work. Me personally, I'm going to combine it because my work, what I'm doing here, being a transformational coach, a brand builder, a leadership personality, my work is deeply personal. Okay, so if somebody critiques my work, it is definitely also a critique against me. Let's just use those words. Okay, so this is me, and I can, and even though, again, me, I am a certified transformational life coach, this training and all of my knowledge is rooted in world religion, in human understanding, human nature, psychology, evolutionary psychology, right? How a human being is made up, like our mind, our brain, not only our mind, but the physical brain and the nervous system and everything, right? Like this whole makeup. Then sociology, how this society is made up, and all of that. Like all of those social, human, psychology, spirituality, all of those topics, I am very well aware of them. Very, very well aware of them. And at the same time, why I'm saying that is even though you think that you know something, even though I might think, oh yeah, I'm an expert or I'm a professional, I'm still a human. And that's the best understanding. I'm still a human, and even though I know a lot of things on a rational level, I am still a human, and like percentages, but let's say from 80 to 95% of how we interact with the world is subconscious, aka also physical, right? It is stored in the body. You've probably heard about the phrase, the body keeps the score, right? The body keeps the score. The body keeps the score is a phrase used in also trauma psychology, and it says that even though maybe you heal or you consciously, cognitively process something, your body still holds memory of something, and that is also subconscious, right? A memory is stored in the subconscious and can, and now let's come to this, and can be triggered by certain outside triggers, certain outside agents, let's call it that, right? To make it very, yeah, human, but also scientific. So let's say this is a memory, right? This is me, this is my body, this is me currently, but at the same time, I have different memories also, let's call it wounds. I have different wounds stored in my body. And different aspects of me, different versions of me, right? We want to bring it all together. Okay, so for example, I have like my 3-year-old self inside of me. Then I have my 10-year-old self inside of me. Then I have my 15-year-old self inside of me. Yeah, depending on what happened later down in my life, I have my 27-year-old self inside of me. Then I have memory A, right? Memory A, memory B, these are memories, different memories, because a memory is an emotional freeze, let's say like an emotional picture, emotional caption of a situation, a feeling, a chemical constellation frozen in time. That is what a memory is, right? A memory can be then triggered by the outside world. Maybe you've heard about that the strongest memory activator is scent, right? When you smell something, maybe you smell the perfume that your mom used to wear. This will catapult you straight into the feeling of your relationship with your mother, right? Or maybe you're smelling something that your mother used to cook, or your community, your household, there was a prevalent smell. Or then even smelling your ex-boyfriend's or husband's perfume, right? Smell is a very potent trigger that will activate a memory that is stored in your brain, in your subconscious mind, in your body. Okay, so the same thing is true with now. Let's bring it all back to the here and now. So now you are a businesswoman. You are a businesswoman. You are a content creator. You're a business owner, and you are visible. You're visible online, or you are also visible on stage, right? Both is kind of the same, right? So now you're presenting yourself, and somebody comes up, a hater, a critic, somebody who says something about your content. And depending on what they say, maybe they say something like, you are not, you're not good enough, right? You are, yeah, not good enough. And that's what they trigger you with. It's a trigger, right? Like they send out this message, they send out this comment, this critique, and you could now consciously think with your 36-year-old's brain, with your 36-year-old self brain. You might think, oh yeah, I've worked through that. Like I'm good. I know I have done all of that. Like I studied, I have all the certifications. I know what I'm talking about. Like I'm good. I'm solid. I'm doing it. And maybe in a moment, still the trigger goes through and it hits your 3-year-old self, maybe, right? Your 3-year-old self that is very subconsciously still believing that meaning you're not good enough means that you are not worthy to be loved. That's the interpretation. Worthy to be loved. And then maybe like the next assumption here is that you're going to be abandoned, right? Abandoned. Okay. So and all of that happens subconsciously, right? Somebody critiques you, you think, oh, I'm good, I'm ahead of everything, I'm above water, right? I'm above water. This is also the iceberg, right? Like the 5% of consciousness, and then the 95% of subconsciousness, right? My head is above water. All right, I'm good, okay. But still, boom, your 3-year-old self got triggered. And it directly assumes, oh my God, this means I am triggered. And a trigger, I always like to paint it like it's like an electrical shock. Jing, jing, right? Somebody throws the critic, and you're like, jing, because your body now feels threatened. Your body feels now threatened. A trigger is what triggers survival mode. I mean, today I had a class. I'm currently teaching communication with a group, with a live group. And I had the question of one of my participants, and he asked me if I could continue to speak a little bit more about triggers. And I will just put it in this because it makes sense, right? A trigger, what does it mean? It triggers a survival response, a primal survival response. And a trigger is always activating four things: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. These are the primal survival reactions of the body, of the very primal primitive part of your brain and your nervous system. I also always like to paint this: your brain and your nervous system is one. Like, it's not separate, it is connected. And then your nervous system is like a tree, right? It goes, like, it has all these nerves, right? And then it branches out through your whole body, like into your legs, right? Your nervous system is also along, let's say, along the lines of the chakras, right? We can put in here so many concepts, and because it is holistic, everything needs to be looked at together. That's my style. I'm very holistic. Things go together. So again, somebody throws a critic, the critic touches you, and what does it activate? It activates a survival response, which is very primal, which is very subconscious until we make it conscious. And then knowing that a trigger triggers fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fight is you confront, you want to directly confront and fight back, right? Flight is going into hiding. And my personal observation is that especially women, they go into hiding. Like, when we get critiqued, like, the first response, or maybe the first automatic response that we want to do is to hide. We want to go back under the covers, under the sheet. We want to hide. We want to hide from the world, right? We don't want to be seen, nothing. Freeze is another one, just like freezing and like no response. Oh my God, like freeze, you don't feel anything. You don't allow yourself to feel anything because it's too threatening to feel anything. And then the last thing is fawn. And fawn, I would also compare to manipulation. A female, especially for women, a feminine fawn response is like, sometimes it's like playing the small girl, right? Playing, I'm not a threat, right? Like going back into, I'm this small little girl, he, manipulation, right? Maybe even flirting. I associate fawning with people pleasing and appeasing, right? You don't want to seem too threatening to the attack. So you play people pleasing. That is another one, okay? So a trigger comes, somebody attacks you with a critique, with a trigger. Your body automatically, your psyche automatically goes into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And then if we want to go deeper, especially maybe your 3-year-old self that was very vulnerable, that was very needy, because it's the nature of being human. Until a certain age, we truly are threatened by abandonment, because a human being needs another human being. We as human beings, we are the only species that needs their parents for as long as we need our parents. And that is probably, I think, up to 13. Like, I think that's the threshold. This is when puberty hits. But before that, really, a human being couldn't survive on its own, or her own, his own. And even then, we are social beings. We still couldn't really truly survive on our own. But that's a different discussion, right? But that is, I believe, is also important to understand why we feel so threatened, so attacked in our deepest primal survival instinct when somebody attacks us. Because the Neanderthal, or whatever you think your ancestors was, right? The ancient primal ancestor, we need a tribe to survive. Let's just say that, right? So that's why feeling excluded, critiqued, abandoned by the tribe feels so threatening. And then we go deeper here, as I said, like the 3-year-old version of ourselves, which is active, even though we're 36 and we're an expert at a certain topic, that this version of us never fully goes away. And that's also another topic of like your shadows, your shadow work. You never stop being a human. You never stop being a human. That is literally what shadow work is about, right? It's about staying primal. You will always be a human. You can do whatever you want. You will always be a human. The whole goal is to become more aware, right? And to be able to master your primal, right? And let it work for you instead of subconsciously working against you. Okay, so just to close the loop on this thought, right? Your 3-year-old self gets triggered and thinks, okay, you're not enough. I'm not worthy to be loved. And because for a 3-year-old human, love is necessary, it thinks, oh my God, I'm being abandoned. And ultimately, that leads to death, right? I am very brutal and very going down to the root. Like I like to go down to the root because this is what I had to understand in all of my years of training, right? Really understanding what it does. So now we understand, okay, my 3-year-old self thinks it's gonna die. And that's why I react so heavily on the criticism that some person on the internet is giving me. Okay, good. And what I want to say, the same thing happens over and over again. I think you understand the concept, right? Another critic, somebody says like, what can they say? Whatever, like you're ugly. And maybe here your 50-year-old self, like in puberty, when sexuality and beauty and those things become a topic, right? You're ugly. And then especially you as a woman, you think, oh my God, I'm ugly, right? Your 15-year-old self, that was very important to her, and now you're triggered, you're triggered again, gring, ding, right? And you go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And then you could either, and that's why, for example, I always take myself as the example. That's my style of teaching because that's just who I am. Look at me right now. Like I have no makeup on. I am very basic. Okay, very basic. I just finished my own like my lesson, and I am so comfortable coming online not having any makeup on or anything because I know that my worth and my value is deeper than skin deep, even though I value being beautiful. I definitely value being beautiful. I would even consider myself a baddie on a good day, you know, but this is not my whole brand. This is not my whole brand. And even if somebody says you're ugly, like I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care at this point anymore because I am no longer 15. I am no longer, and that's another topic I speak about, I no longer seek patriarchal beauty standard validation. I think I'm beautiful. I'm taking good care of myself, and that's enough. That's enough. Okay? So, again, check. But I don't want to discredit that. That's the whole topic of this video. I want to let you know that even though somebody says you are ugly, right, and you take it very personal, and you and your maybe also 36-year-old self, you're thinking, oh my God, like I'm so rational, I'm so over it, right? Maybe on a bad day, I would also take it very personal. And then my next survival mode, my next survival strategy would be to fawn, would be to say, okay, the next time I'm coming online, I'm going to look snatched. I want to put on some makeup and I want to look amazing. But it would only be a response. It would be a response to somebody triggering my 50-year-old self who was still very susceptible to society's beauty standard, and I wanted to appease, right? I wanted to look good and people please, and I wanted to be accepted through my beauty because for a 15-year-old woman, it is important. And that's the whole thing. We do not want to downplay it, right? I don't want you to minimize your 3-year-old self. And I don't want you to minimize your 15-year-old self. I want you to actually take them seriously. And the way to do it, And yeah, I think that's really what I want to come down to, because that's truly the solution here. And the way we do it is, I want to show you how we do it, because that's a very embodiment practice, okay? So I want you to take them seriously, even though it's not rational, right? It's subconscious, it's below the veil, but now we're becoming more and more conscious. We're getting attacked. Somebody um, wants to insult us or whatever, and we feel it. Let's not pretend that we don't feel it. That's very important, right? We want to feel it. And I want you now to take those versions of you seriously, right? You want to take those versions of you seriously, and you want to get give yourself and you want to give yourself the space to hold space for them. And that is a technique of nervous system regulation. And that is, for example, some days, right? Some days, and I'm bringing this topic up because I had this like 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt triggered. I felt triggered, especially in my competence, right? And for me, even beyond somebody telling me that I'm ugly, that's not that big of a deal to me, because I'm fine with myself. I'm very content. But one thing that I take very seriously is my intelligence. One thing that I take very, very seriously are my thoughts. One thing that I take very seriously is my ethics. And also my I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to take people for fool, so my integrity and my own standard of me delivering good content or good information, also in my courses that I give, I really I have a high standard. So if somebody criticizes that, that hurts me, right? So that does something to me. So I feel like what happened there, sometimes we have this emotional chaos inside of us. Like we have this emotional chaos when something happened that is not to our liking. And then all of a sudden you just feel like a complete loser, right? Look what I'm doing. Like I'm already in the practice. I'm already in the embodiment practice, right? And this is what I do, right? When I feel like, oh my God, I'm such a loser, people don't see the value of my knowledge, of my content. Like the people that I'm teaching, they don't like the concepts, right? I'm not doing a good job. Like all of those things are happening in me right now, okay? Even though my 36-year-old self knows everything that I know, like I could go into fight. I could feel triggered and I could go into fight. Even like psychologically, I could be like, I'm gonna fight back. Like, no, you know who I am. I have a degree, like I studied this and I have this other degree and this other degree and I have a certification and I've done this. I've spoken all over the world. Like I could have like gone into this. But would this have soothed me? I don't think so, right? That's one thing, but it's more of a reaction. It's a fight. Flight is to completely shut down, right? Fight is and freeze is shutting down, not feeling anything. These are the days where you are depressed and you go back to bed and you don't want to do nothing. Okay, maybe that's a survival strategy. It's an option. Or it's a fawn, as we said, like maybe now you go into proving mode, right? Fawning is also like proving, people pleasing, like, okay, bringing everything out that you know, just so people accept you. None of that is what I did. What I did is hold space for the version of me that has a need to now speak. And maybe I don't even know if it's the 3-year old or the 10-year-old version or the 15-year-old version or another one. So I become present with myself. I become present with myself. I feel into my body. And this is what I do. That is my technique of nervous system regulation, right? You breathe deep and you listen into your body and you feel all of those emotions like surging through your body. And now what you do is like you give space to the 3-year-old version of yourself, and you're like, or you're asking like, who's present? Like, what version of me is even here? Like, who felt triggered? Like, who are you? Tell me. Like, what version of myself is present? So I ask, okay, so who's present? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, so who's present right now as I'm asking is like more of a like 10-year-old, 11-year-old version of myself, the version of myself that was like confronted with the topic of like intellect and being considered smart or yeah, bright for the first time. And that version of me emerged around 10, 11, where like my intellect was being, yeah, where my intellect was being measured like through grades in school. And even though like I'm giving my best, oh, it's not enough. It's not enough, and I have to fight, and I don't feel good about it. I feel frustrated. I feel I feel I feel frustrated. I feel angry. I feel helpless. I feel like I don't have the skills. I feel helpless, and now I feel like I have to prove myself. And that is around, yeah, that was around maybe even younger, 8, maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That version of me is now present, and it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm already doing what I can, and I'm so frustrated that I now have to prove my intelligence. And then I, as my 36-year-old self, I'm like, okay, I see you. I see you and I hear you, and that's okay. You can feel frustrated for now. Like, you can also go out, or maybe you can work out, or you can do something and be angry and frustrated and let it out. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And at the same time, like, is it true that you are not smart enough? Is it true? And then I'm starting a dialogue with my inner child, and then it says like, I don't know, people say I'm not good enough, or like my teacher wants me to do this or that. And then now I, as a 30-year-old version of myself, now I can come in, and this is where I can say, look, like I am you, literally, like I'm you. I am your higher self. I am your older version of yourself, and you are very smart. You are very smart. You are someone who, if you really want it, you can learn everything. And I can prove it to you. Like, you finished school, you never had to repeat a class. You always made it. You then went on to higher education, and you actually studied. You studied international business. You graduated. And then after that, you even went on, like, learning has actually become your lifestyle. Like, you are now a teacher of higher education, of adult learning. And this is how I can soothe like my 10-year-old self. But first, I had to hear and listen. Like, where did that come from? And even as I'm doing this technique right now with you here, like, I'm really going into it because it was a real life example of me like 2 days ago. And now giving myself the space for this version of myself to come up and speak and be like, okay, like, since I'm maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, this is when I felt I had to start proving my intelligence. Right? This was the time. I come from Germany. This was the time I had to change schools from elementary school to secondary school. This is when I was evaluated